This week on Culture Leaders, I sat down with Matthew Owenby, the Chief Strategy Officer at Aflac, a company whose purpose is as bold as it is operational. I've never heard a purpose like this. It is simply to pay claims fast. Matthew leads with deep conviction and a sense of purpose that runs through every answer that we talked about. And we talk about what it means to be in a forever relationship with your employees, rare these days, why Aflac hires for life, and how dignity and empathy shape everything from onboarding to offboarding. And he also shares how that philosophy helped him navigate a global pandemic, how they managed risk early and transitioned 14,000 employees to remote work before companies had even made a plan. We got into the leadership mindset, how to stay grounded in high-pressure moments, and why he believes in matching the moment, but not the emotion. Also, the surprising book that continues to shape how he shows up. This is a conversation about responsibility and purpose, leading with love when it matters most. Please welcome to the podcast, Matthew Owenby. Matthew, thank you so much for joining us. What is your why?
Thank you for having me. My why is to take care of my family forever. That's my mission. I brought three humans into the planet, and I feel like I'm responsible for them forever, as well as the rest of my family. So that's what keeps me moving.
Tell me about the forever word and that why. That's an interesting word.
Literally forever. Even after I'm gone, I want to be able to leave behind enough so they're taken care of.
That's beautiful. Are you a spiritual guy?
I am.
So the forever also has to do with a kind of spiritual nurturing, perhaps?
It does. It does. And
Yeah.
I have daughters. I have two daughters, and I know they will leave me at some point. They've gone off to school, of course, but I never wanted them to leave. I never wanted them to ever leave. I always wanted them to be around, but that's not practical.
I just watched this documentary about a guy who went through the assisted dying process in California, where you have some kind of terminal disease, and so you're allowed to take some pill that ends things in a kind of peaceful way, so to speak. And there's a 14-day waiting period, and he was in that 14-day waiting period, and his daughter was a filmmaker, and so she was filming the end, and he was talking about, when I pass, I'm going to stay with you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be with you in spirit. And the daughter was a rabbi, and the daughter said, Dad, I just want to say, in case it wasn't clear, if when you get to the other side, there's an opportunity for you to go do something else, maybe have another life or go to a place that isn't here with us, we support you going there. Go ahead and, be free. And he looked at her and said, I don't want to be free. I want to take care of you.
I can totally relate.
Isn't that so sweet? I just got chills thinking about dad love for his daughters, know?
I never want to be free of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's like the power of love, is the responsibility, the selflessness of real love, the way that Thomas Aquinas talked about it, which is to will the good of another.
I'm sure you would agree. It gives you real purpose. And, there's probably a lot of people that don't really know that. And I'm just fortunate to know that through father and family, but it gives you purpose. I think it's important for humans to have purpose kind of beyond their own self. This is my view. I think it's healthy. I think it reduces kind of my natural tendencies to be focused on myself. And it causes me to have that view that it's a purpose beyond me. It's the same thing I think about. That's why I think it's important to develop teams, because it's important to have people that have a goal greater than their success.
Yeah. I mean, this is the challenge and paradox of leadership, right? It's how you can have purpose and be selfless within organizations that are about taking and getting and winning and growing and competition, right? So
Yes.
We're operating in a system that isn't necessarily aligned with those beliefs, and yet they seem to work when applied, but it is counterintuitive. And I think that's why leadership books continue to sell and leadership consultants continue to make money in their workshops and keynotes, because it is a head scratcher to find that balance.
It is. It's one of the many things that attracted me to Aflac 13 years ago was that um, the culture here really not only cultivates that sense of there's something bigger than you, you're doing something bigger than just you, but it also encourages it. And you kind of break it down to, cultural matters. It really is a value proposition where, values and cultures can be synonymous, but it's, believing in relationships. And because you believe in that, that means you believe in communication. It means you put people before yourself. It just has all these secondary derivative effects that are positive. And it's hard to, I think there's probably people that struggle with that purpose in their life. And so they fill it up with things that aren't great.
Yeah. I mean, as a as a recovered alcoholic, I know exactly what you're talking
Mm.
about because for me it was booze for a long time, you know. I I think what going back to the Aflac thing. So there are some companies that I think it's easier to create that purpose and sense of meaningfulness in the work more than others, right? So Affleck, that feels like an easy story to to tell, to kind of connect to the hearts and minds, right? Especially it probably has become an even easier story to tell recently with the kind of spotlight that is on the healthcare system in the US. Are you guys leaning into that and showing how you are a relief for an otherwise fairly dysfunctional system?
We are. I mean, if you've been a customer around Aflac or have knowledge of Aflac, I mean, we want people to use their benefits that we provide. Well, we encourage it. I mean, it's built into not only the design of the products, but it's built into um, the things that we hold highly, like taking care of the customer in their time of needs. If you call Aflac, you're having generally a very bad day. You have had an accident. You may have a cancer diagnosis. You may have a child with leukemia. You're having a bad day, generally speaking. There's 300,000 calls a day in the U.S. Plus, in the U.S. about a month. Sorry, and so when you put the customer first and you believe that what you're selling is a promise, which is what we believe here, that we're selling a piece of paper with a promise that we're going to do something for you, maybe at the worst time you've had in your life, it changes the nature of work pretty dramatically. It means that the culture that's backing up that promise requires a level of care and dignity and respect. Because when people call here, we want them not to be distracted by a bureaucratic matrix that's hard to navigate and frustrating policy and product designs and irritating activities, because it'll interpret through to our customers who again are calling here because something's happened. Maybe they're calling for a wellness activity, right? It's just a regular old day. But a vast majority of them call because there's some major problem, and we intend to be there for them and to not put them through a Rubik's cube of check this box, go here, look there, call a friend, phone a lawyer. We don't. That's the exact opposite. So we are long way around of answering your question. It's easy for us to lean into it because we've been doing this for 50 years here in the United States, and we encourage our policyholders to file claims. I know that seems crazy, but we do.
But I mean, when there's some kind of catastrophic event, I mean, do you get the rush of claims like other insurance companies, or is it?
Yeah, we can. I mean, we tend to. I mean, because we offer quite a diverse set of products from accident to illness to cancer, there is some of that. What we tend to do, for example, in a hurricane situation where there may be accidents or hospitalization, we will, be- because we have access to information on the World Wide Web, we know where hurricanes are going to be. We will call and start to enable our support programs in advance of a hurricane or in advance of a storm or in advance of a natural disaster. We'll reach out to our customers and say, hey, look, here's how you file a claim. If you need us, here we are. We're going to be here around the clock. So it does tend to spike, but it really depends on the nature of the circumstances of what's happening.
So I interviewed an insurance executive at a company that will remain nameless in the past. And I remember this was for research, so it wasn't recorded. And I remember them saying they were having a bad year because of this catastrophic event. And the numbers were down. And it was a strange dynamic to lead through because the reality was financially, the company was doing more poorly than the year before because of the nature of the business. This is the time that things get paid out, right? And I said, well, how do you navigate through that? And they said, well, that's where we lean into our purpose. And, this is why we exist, if not to, but there is still, at the same time that this is when employees get to step up and perhaps feel they are serving and coming from a place of love for the customer first, there's still shareholder pressure, investor pressure that is looking at the numbers and saying, this has gone down. We're not happy about that. Do you feel that?
No. And it's probably due to the fact that the corporation, as you probably would expect, is managed very conservatively. So we're careful on our expenses, careful on our overhead, because our mission is to pay claims fast. So when your whole purpose is to pay claims, you don't have, no one on the management team is going, oh my dear, we have a higher than normal expected outlay of claims. It requires a lot of planning, but it requires a level of management discretion over a long period of time to ensure that those events don't, cause one thing or the other. But you will hear our CEO tell you all the time, we want to pay claims fast, want to pay them fast and accurate. So no, it doesn't cause anybody on this management team any angst.
Did you just say that your purpose statement, like your mission statement, is to pay claims fast?
Yes.
That is very cool. I have not heard a mission statement that surprised me or impressed me in a long time, but that one does, because I always talk about how important they are to be simple. And that is a fairly in the weeds idea, to pay claims fast, right? That's like execution focused as opposed to make the world a better place, provide a safety net for the community or whatever it could be. What's the story of how that mission statement came to be?
A lot of it has to do with some of the things you and I have already spoken about. Um, we believe that people take out insurance because they probably will need it in the future. And we also believe that it's better to pay money rapidly than it is to hold it up in some sort of bureaucratic process. If people file a claim, we know that they need that money. It's not, obviously there's underwriting that goes through it, and we're not just paying every person that walks by the door. But if the terms and conditions of the claim are paid, we believe they need the money fast. I mean, again, think about the reasons you're calling Aflac: cancer, accident, hospitalization. I mean, I guess you could take the sort of the industry standard and say, well, we're paying in 45 to 60 days. Or you could take the attitude of, well, our customers need the money and they are here, they're here paying their claims on time. They're paying their premiums on time. So the least we could do is turn their money around rapidly.
Yeah. Wow.
It's a very different, I realize how odd it is. Obviously I have non-Aflac insurance, that I've dealt with over the years, but I realize how strange it sounds, but it's really our intention to pay claims quickly.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the things we do with our clients is we help them craft their purpose statements. And I mean, every single time, actually, I will say I have never had a client who didn't show up to that session with an idea of a purpose statement or a pre-existing purpose statement that was way too long, complicated, over-inclusive of concepts and stakeholders, and the how, the why, the way is all kind of crammed into trying to be everything to everyone. And your purpose statement is just so laser focused and simple and short. It's memorable. We talk about memorability scales, and you are a large organization, so I imagine it does scale. It's kind of popped something open for me about the potential and of what a purpose statement could be, because I think I would have judged it it doesn't fit into the best practice criteria that I would have said isn't critical, which is that it's got to be, you know, or maybe it does. I'm thinking about the way that people talk about purpose statements as this like bigger why, and paying claims fast is an execution focused thing. But if your bigger why is execution focused, that's like purposeception. That's just brilliant. I'm just blown away.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're serious about it. I think that I can't take credit for it. It obviously comes from the founders of the organization many, many decades ago. Um, but it really is just a outcome from taking care of your customers, right? I mean, again, you can make the argument. Well, as long as you're paying under the benchmark standards for these things, you should be happy. Yeah, but don't they need the money, right? Yeah, I mean, we had a campaign years ago where we were trying to pay claims, within 15 days, something like that. And on average, we'll pay them even faster. And our CEO was being interviewed. Maybe it was on CNBC. Doesn't matter. And one of the reporters said, "Well, what's the difference between, 15 days and 30 days?" And our CEO said, "Well, nothing if you don't need the money." But they need the money. So there's a big difference between 15 days and 30 days if you don't have any money. And heaven forbid you look at some of the economic statements that you probably are aware of in the existing marketplace where people are struggling right now. I mean, it is not uncommon to hear a statement or a stat that Americans have less than $800 in savings for an emergency. Well, okay, then we know that. We're aware of what you're aware of. So it's our intention to make sure if they need us, we give them their money because they probably need it.
Yeah. I'm wondering how that has guided you when you as an organization have gone through your own version of a crisis. I mean, how was the COVID transition for you? What was that like?
Well, that's an interesting question because I was the person that was the responsible party for our COVID response for the glow. And
Hmm.
if you have time, I'll explain it to you. I remember
Yeah.
very distinctly in January, it was one of the last weeks of January in 2020. Our CEO, who will on occasion call me on a Sunday, but it's rare, called me into our office buildings. I was at church with my family doing something, and he called and said, "Hey, I need you to come to the office," which is a strange thing for him to do. But when he calls like that, I just said, "Okay, well, give me about 20." I live out in the country a little ways. So I just said, "All right, give me about 20 minutes. I'll show up." So I showed up and he said, "Hey, have you ever dealt with a pandemic?" Because I hadn't always worked at Aflac. He knows that I worked at General Electric and Bank of America and all sorts of weird roles. But I said, "No, why?" And he said, "I don't know, but I think you ought to get us ready for one." And I remember thinking, I mean, remember, this is January of 2020. So this is pretty early. I mean, probably the first
Yeah.
reports we were getting were some weird flu outbreak in China. Well, by mid-February, I had returned to the management team with a plan to evacuate the workplace. And at the time, we had less than 200 of our 14,000 global employees working remotely. So you can imagine how that conversation went. And then you overlay the fact that this is a very parental organization. So it's high relationship, high in person meetings, high engagement, high communication. And so to suggest that we needed to evacuate the workplace, which had never been done in history, in February was pretty provocative. After some initial raised voices and, okay, well, how would you do it? We got to it. And by March the 14th, we were out of the office.
3 days before everything went down, right? Wasn't it March 17th?
Yes, it was.
Okay, can I tell you where my brain goes and you can tell me that I have to cut this later? But my brain goes to, how did the CEO of Aflac know? Was he part of the inner circle of people who run the world that know what's happening? Like, how did he know?
No, I'll tell you, Al, I've asked him. It's not. It's actually not magical. I mean, it doesn't take anything away from his. He has one of his magic powers is discernment, and I think he gets his discernment from 40 years of wisdom and experience on the planet. Probably some other areas as well. But we have a very small insurance operations in China,
Mm.
and in November of 2019, we started receiving a strange rash of illness claims, which persisted and increased all the way through the first part of January. And he put that together with some of the early reporting and was like, something's not right here. Right. I mean, it was one of those kind of calls. It wasn't like Yoda magic,
Right.
use the force. It was just, this doesn't seem right. I'm hearing these reports from the CDC. I've seen pandemics before, even on a smaller scale. What if this comes here? Part of it is he's a risk manager at heart. So it's always, okay, it's easier to manage risk in like little bitty bites than one gigantic bite. And so part of it's just how his brain works. But it's not magic. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not taking anything
That
away
makes
from
sense.
him, but
He had the data, he's got the risk management mindset, and
yes,
he was really just scenario
that's
planning at
it.
that point.
That's it. Yeah, it wasn't magic.
Um, yeah, I got COVID in January. I am certain that because I was laid out for 2 weeks, I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't breathe, I had to sit up. If I had known what COVID was, at the time, I just thought I was really, really sick, but, I mean, I would have gone to the hospital because it was there were probably moments of that illness where I could not get the air I needed and the oxygen I needed, but I was just toughing it out. I mean, it was brutal, but it was spreading quicker than we knew at that time,
Very scary. And when you think
Very
about, from just kind of the overall operations perspective, we sell face to face. We did not have an online channel back then. I mean,
Oh, wow.
you're knocking on doors. Our agents knock on literally 1986 knock on doors. So if you're not in
Mm,
business, how do we sell? How do we sell to you? So it's eventually more complicated. We could probably have 2 or 3 podcasts on this, since you
yeah.
wanted to. But um, again, that's more evidence to taking care of our employees so they can take care of the business. We did not know the level of risk. We could not satisfy our own internal sort of protection between somebody coming to the office and transient and getting gas and having to drop kids. And we were like, we don't know what that risk is. It seems outrageously high at those times. So we're not going to even expose them to it.
Yeah.
So you want to reduce risk, don't expose yourself to it. And that was our mindset.
Hmm. The Affleck's philosophy has a philosophy of hiring for life,
It
right?
does. Yeah.
How
How
like, so
about that?
how about that?
Yeah.
Tell me about that philosophy and what lessons you learned in leading through the pandemic around that philosophy. I mean, how is it working for you?
Well, I think it works well. I mean, I think prior to Aflac, I would tell you, I would have probably said that's a silly idea. But I came from pretty hyper aggressive corporate environments. What I will tell you is the advantage of that hiring for life. 2 things happen. You're real careful who you hire, right? So if you knew the first
Yeah.
date you were going on was it, you'd be real careful on that first date, like real
No, that was
careful.
yeah.
So it requires that you're very careful about who you hire. Um, but it also means that your behavior is always in check because you and I are never breaking up, ever.
Hmm.
It's like an aunt at a family reunion. She's always going to be there. So you're very careful in your conversations and how you treat people. And the third thing is people are committed to the mission because and so it creates all these nice secondary derivative effects of engagement and professionalism and focus. And we are all in this together because we're going to be together on this boat for 40 or 50 years. Um, Probably the fourth thing I would say is that it builds the next generation of leadership naturally, because I believe most humans learn through mimicking, watching others. And so if you've been doing something for 20 years and it's the first time you've seen it, you're probably seeing somebody that knows what they're doing. So it has all sorts of positive secondary effects. And um, it is not uncommon to run across people that have been here 25, 30, 35, 40, 50 years. It's just not uncommon. And we want people to stay. We also want people to retire. We have programs that do that, but you want to stay till you're 75 as long as you're healthy and we're happy and you're feeling good. Keep coming.
So but what about when you do make the wrong choice, when it isn't a fit? I mean, how do you handle those situations? If you're trying to make it work, what are the approaches?
Dignified separation
Mm,
with a lot of support on the way out. So, meaning I'm not just going to toss you out the door. I'm going to give you a lot of notice. If we do have to part ways, I'm going to find somebody to help you find a job, build a resume, practice interview. I'm going to work with outside vendors to market you and help you find your next spot.
wow. I mean, we're missing that in today's modern workforce.
Come work for
It is,
Aflac. I'll take care of you.
yeah, okay, great. It's funny. Joe Terry, our CEO, has this way of letting people go like that. I don't know what that is, but I have seen multiple people write these incredible LinkedIn posts, public declarations of gratitude for Joe and his leadership after he fired them. I mean, multiple times. And I remember asking him, like, how I've never met a leader who can let someone go and have those people be his biggest fan, you know?
And maybe because he treats people with dignity and respect, and along the way, he's probably endeared a sense of this guy doesn't want to do this in the first place. And so when you're sort of reversing the empathy curve there a bit,
Yeah.
it tends to have, positive outcomes. It does happen on occasion here. There's no doubt about it, but we're going to treat people, frankly, how we want to be treated. And that's how I would want to be treated. It's a bad day, maybe the worst day of your life, secondary to losing a spouse or a pet or something else. So we just want to make sure it's just like taking care of our customers. We're going to take care of people who maybe we have to part ways with. We're not trying to burn any bridges. We don't look forward to that, and people know that about us. So if you ever get to that point with us for whatever reason, it's not because it's the first thing we thought we were going to. That Matthew did X, Y, or Z. He's out of here. It's like, nah. We're going to give people the benefit of the doubt. We're going to work with them. And if it doesn't work out, then we're going to help them.
Yeah. I also read that you talk about leadership means not matching people's emotions.
Yeah,
What do
for
you
me,
mean
it
by
does.
that?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm really, really good at it. I was left alone a lot as a child. And so it's very easy for me to do that. I've always felt like matching another adult's emotions is a bad idea.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it almost like encourages more of that emotion. Maybe in circumstances where it's laughter or happiness, it's no problem. But I've dealt with not really here that much, but at other corporations, I've had to separate a lot of people, and it's a very emotional time. Sort of the last thing you want to do is sort of amp that up with your own levels of emotions. And so for me, it's about that dignity. It's just about being respectful, and really matching the moment rather than another person's emotions. Helps keep me in check because I can be pretty emotional.
Well, it's hard to do. It's easier said than done, right? I mean, how do you do that? What mindset practices can you practice in high pressure moments where you are feeling emotional or your natural tendency is to match the emotion?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the situation, but if I was separating a person, I put myself in the mindset that this person is a family member, like my mom. I literally project my mom on the person who I adore.
Mm,
Probably didn't surprise you. and she's adorable. So I think about like, how would I treat her in that moment?
And then you just
And
show up.
then I just show up with, I've got some bad news for you.
Yeah. It's coming from a place of love instead of a place of fear, where I think fear is the predominant uh, energy level that shows up in the workplace, because people are, you're either doing well and you're worried you're not going to hit the next target, which is even better than what you're currently at, or you're not doing well and you're worried you're going to lose something like your job or your ability to get investment or the budget or something. I mean, it's just everyone is always fearful in the workplace. It feels like, when you're in a typical dysfunctional situation. I mean, you're seeing that right now with AI. Right now, there's a lot of opportunity with AI. It's also creating a ton of fear. You guys, what are you doing around AI?
We're being careful with it.
Mm,
I have my own iconoclastic views of it. We're careful with it. We believe in automation, but we're not replacing humans here. If if you want to talk to me about AI as automated intelligence, then I'll walk along with you. If you want to talk to me about artificial intelligence, then I'll tell you somebody's selling their investment book to me.
mm.
This is I survive. I'm from the past, so I remember the turn of the century, and how everything was going to be sort of Jetsons, flying cars. You'll never see a grocery store again. And boy, was that wrong. There was a
Yeah,
lot of
no
big
kidding.
bets a lot of big talk, not a lot of big action. So we're being careful with it. There's no doubt about it. We're not afraid of it, but we are not. We don't believe that it's some magical elixir, for a variety of reasons. But we don't believe that it's going to replace that human touch and human interaction, um, no matter how clever it's been programmed.
I'm wondering what you think a common misconception is about Aflac.
That we are a PNC, bureaucratic, never pay you insurance company.
You think that exists, that belief?
Yes, we've seen the market
Mm,
research that most
yeah.
people believe that we're a property and casualty company. We don't sell car insurance nor home insurance or anything like that. Probably should, given that most people believe that we oughta. We don't.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, I think there's a lot of power in the place where you play, because of what you said earlier about your purpose being to pay claims fast, but also that you're not the gatekeepers of care, right? Like a lot of these big bad insurance companies that are having to navigate. I mean, I've worked with health insurance companies that are trying to get people excited about the work that they're doing. And yet there is this disconnect that is the elephant in the room that most people don't know. And by people, I mean the leaders don't know how to address,
Yeah, because their
right?
products
So,
stink.
right.
I mean,
Exactly.
why is it that when you and I go into Apple, everybody's doing jumping jacks? Because they have great products. These healthcare company products are terrible. I mean, you can only
Yeah.
fake it so long throughout the day. I mean, you probably 5, 6 hours, no problem. But towards the end of the day, the fake line kind of runs its course. That's why it's hard to get people to run around your organization happy, because the product stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any for someone who's interested in pursuing the kind of leadership style that you've been describing, do you have a book or a podcast that you recommend?
Gosh, the podcasts I listen to, the probably the book that, and this may be provocative, I'm not sure, that I wind up reflecting on most from a leadership perspective, is actually the 48 Laws of Power by Jeffrey Green. And
Mm.
and this is my interpretation of it. Reading surely can allow me some room here. It is that basically it is a summation of behaviors that can be successful when applied in situations. An example would be, one of the laws is, that I often use because I can overtalk, as you can tell today. the person that talks the most knows the least. And so before I go into a meeting, I recite that to myself. And it's really about not talk. It's not saying don't talk. It's about saying talk when you have a purpose or when you have something to add, right? And of course, it's got anecdotal things like don't outshine the leader and things that have to do with courtesan, king courtesan, stuff like that. But that's probably the one that I wind up going to the most in my mind.
That's a good one. Okay, well, I have one last question for you, which is my favorite question. It is, what is one thing that you don't get asked about very often in these types of interviews that you wish you were asked more often?
I never get asked about what I want to be when I grow up, ever.
And you're a Gen Xer, right? Which means you're older than me. I'm
That's
42, so
right.
you're not grown up yet?
It's a metaphor. What do I want to be at the end? No one ever asked me that. After all, I've probably done thousands of interviews. No one's ever asked me.
Well, what do you want to be when you grow up?
This. This is exactly what I wanted to be. I wanted to be at a large corporation. I wanted to be in a position to solve problems that are hard. And I wanted to be able to take care of people. So this is what I wanted to be when I grow up. You've met the person.
That's pretty cool. Not a lot of people can say they've reached it. They've got it. They've done it.
I'm all out of dreams. Hopefully I'm not out of time.
Well, the only dream left is to just take care of your family
That's
forever.
it.
So good luck with that one. You got a long way to go.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good purpose.
Matthew, it has been so wonderful to chat with you today. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you
today
for having
and
me.
for
So like
sharing your
Thank you.
insights with the listeners.
You're welcome.